What's going on, everyone? It's Jason here, and today I'm going to be talking about NFL Draftkings Week 1, particularly contest selection. There's a lot of different contests up there, and the Millionaire Maker, as well as comparing it to some of these other contests. And I have a different perspective, I think, on it than some people do, because the first thing everybody, and you see a lot of people in different videos and podcasts, they talk about, 294,000 entries. That's like winning the lottery. No, it's not, because winning the lottery is completely random. Now, you have to understand, if you are experienced at daily fantasy in any capacity, you have a huge edge in this tournament, because this is the tournament that's advertised to any new players. So this tournament's going to have a high percentage of people just entering one or two lineups, their favorite players, their favorite teams, whatever, or letting their kids enter lineups or whatever. But anyways, a big portion of these lineups are people just playing, just starting out, just having fun. So you have to look at it, and the payout percentage of this tournament is already roughly 22, 23%, right around there. So you have to look at it like, okay, a large portion of this field are novice players. So if you are experienced in daily fantasy, you're going to have an edge in this tournament to at least cash if you know what you're doing. So there is that. And as far as getting to the million, people look at that number of 294,000 and it seems a little bit intimidating to them. Well, here's the thing. If you have two or three players owned in the single digits, and then you keep the rest of your lineup chalky, you're going to have a lineup that's unique. And if those 2-3 players hit and your chalk does what they're supposed to do, you're going to be way up there in the rankings, okay? I've finished 60th in this tournament before on just 6 lineups. I was leading it last year in Week 7 for a portion of the day. Things didn't break my way in the afternoon, but it's all about getting yourself to be put in position to win those type of tournaments. Get yourself in that top 500 or so. And then after that, yes, kind of luck is the variable that you're hoping for, different things, different carries, running backs getting vultured, things of that nature. And believe me, I've been on the downside of that variance more often than not, but I have put myself in position quite a few times. So the other thing I think that people they don't look at, okay, say compare this to the Wildcat tournament. The Wildcat has only 5,000 entries, but it's a $333 entry fee. The thing with this tournament is it's a max 150, just like the Millionaire Maker. And the problem looking at this tournament is it's going to be filled with all the best players in the game. The sharks, as they call them. They're not sharks because it's rigged or whatever, this and that. They're sharks because they are good. They are the best players in the business. And that's who you're going to be playing at against this tournament. So keep that in mind, is that tournament, all it's doing is weeding out these new people. The new people aren't going to be playing the Wildcat. They're going to be playing the Millionaire Maker because it's cheaper. So looking at that Wildcat tournament, yeah, I think some modestly experienced, intermediate players are looking at like, this is my chance to make a splash. Not really. I'd rather play the Millionaire Maker and go up against a much weaker field. Now, granted, those sharks are still in the Millionaire Maker, but you're only using a $20 entry as opposed to a $333 entry. You have more flexibility, more different options as far as roster construction, and I think that's key with NFL. I think the more lineups you have in the NFL, the better. Next one we have is a 400K Power Sweep 3 entry max, 100K to first. It's a $150 entry, 2,962 entries max. So on this one, I think the problem with it is the payout rate's only about 17%. So that one kind of hurts right there. 100K to first ain't bad, but again, you're running into the same issue, just a little bit better than the Wildcat. But the Sharks are going to be in this one, even though it's only 3 entry max. Okay, this is who mostly plays these tournaments, are the best of the best. Okay, so when you're playing these tournaments, you have to understand that you're not going up against stupid players. You're going up against players that you'll see some of the cash lines in these tournaments, some of the winning numbers are just as good as tournaments with thousands more entries. And that's where I'm concerned on this one, is trying to play this one, especially with a 17%, cash line. That makes me a little weary to play that one. Now, single entry 100K SPY, 1,100 entries, 1,111 specifically, $100 entry. Single entries are fun. Again, I still say that not as much as these others, that you're going to have a lot of sharks playing in it. And when I play NFL, again, I like to have a little bit more flexibility, because there just seems, I just like to have more teams in the mix. I like to have my 10 and 20 teams. Whereas, say, NBA, I enjoy playing these 3 entries and single entries, because I can get a good feel of, okay, this team's going to have a good night, and I can make my lineup based on that. But with NFL, sometimes it's just I just like to have that 10, 20 lineup thing where I can have some different things going on. The massive 200K to first 20 max entry $3 tournament here. This has got 792,707. Okay, the way to attack a tournament like this would be, really, you got to be super contrarian. I mean, I think you really need to think outside the box. And I think with those 20 lineups, realistically, though, you need to have a core of 5 or 6 players and just play them in the entire 20 lineups. And then just mix and match some contrarian plays on the other part of the rosters the entire way throughout, because that, to me, is the only way to hit this, because you need your core to go off, and you need some things to go right to be in position for this, because this is just a massive, massive tournament, and then only having 20 entries to do it. But you're on the same scale as everyone else, and on the same thought process, this would be the other tournament other than the Millionaire Maker where all the newbies are going to play, and, well, this is where you might be able to gain an advantage on the field in that sense. Looking at the $150 World Championship qualifier. Oh gosh, qualifiers. Can't tell you how much money I've lost on qualifiers, but the last 3 years, I've almost had a seat in the Fantasy Football World Championship, and I missed out every time, and it's hard because you end up chasing it, and that's sort of where I'm at right now. So I'm not going to advise anyone to play these. These are just if you want the experience, and I want the experience more than anyone else in the world, but it's a matter of, you got to have some luck on this one. But it's still sort of the same concept about putting yourself in position to have a shot at it. I think that with the qualifiers, to me, what makes the most sense is just attacking it sort of the same way as that $3 tournament that I just mentioned, where play that $5 tournament, play 20 lineups, play a core of 5 or 6 players, lock them in, mix and match some contrarian plays on the other side of it, and just hope for the best. And I like to have, on those contrarian plays, play them sort of in the afternoon games so I can mix and match, and I can go and adjust accordingly. And I can have if I have 5 players in all the early games and they all hit, and then I can mix and match the 4 players on the other 20 teams. I can just mix and match 20 different combos from the afternoon games. Maybe I can hit one of them. So that's sort of the thing. I played a couple times last year where I had 20 lineups, and I think I finished 12th out of 17,000 lineups once, and then 25th another time. I just so close to hitting one of them qualifiers. But I don't think I'd recommend playing the higher dollar qualifiers because, again, football, it just has so much variance there. I think that, you better hit it on that one lineup, because you're playing against some of the best players in the business when you're playing these ones with, say, like 534 entries, $150 entry fee. And that's pretty much in general. Like, as far as cash, I don't know. I probably don't play as much cash as I should. Head-to-heads, 50-50s, things of that nature. I'm going to look into that more this year. Try to get some of these ones that have the overlays right before the lockup. Make some profit that way. But anyway, that's really it on that. But I really want to emphasize on these large field GPPs. I hate it when people say you can't win playing these large field GPPs. Yes, you can. You just have to think about it mathematically. You know, what makes sense. You don't really want to do an all contrarian lineup, but you also don't want to just do like nothing but chalk all the way down the board. You have to have certain rules that you're setting by. Also, if you have to look at the quarterbacks you're playing too, like say if you're playing Drew Brees or Tom Brady, with quarterbacks like that don't run the ball, if they go off, odds then two of their receivers went off too. So you want to have at least two of their pass catchers, whether it be a running back, tight end, in addition to the wide receiver one. So that is crucial to quarterbacks like that. Running quarterbacks you can kind of treat differently depending on the team. Like Cam Newton, it seems to be tied though a little bit more to Christian McCaffrey than anybody else. You've got Tyrod Taylor, who you can kind of run by himself. You have Dak Prescott, you can run by himself more so than these others. So I wanted to bring up two more points about two particular tournaments here that I'm looking at. The 50K mini max, 150 max entry, the 50 cent entry just only takes us $75 to max enter this tournament. So that's a fun tournament that pretty much anybody could play. 118,906 lineups. It's a fun tournament to play, especially for anybody that's new or intermediate, just doesn't really want to spend a bunch of money. And just have fun, because guess what? On the first place on this tournament, you can win, let's see, what is it? $10,000. I mean, that's awesome for, just playing $75 worth of teams. That's pretty epic. And now, how would I attack a tournament like that? I would probably use a lineup optimizer for something like this. I wouldn't sit there for hours on end trying to make 150 lineups for this. So that's sort of how I would attack that. Now, if I'm playing the higher dollar tournaments, okay, say the $9 or the $9 slant or the $20 Millionaire Maker, I think the way that I would attack those tournaments is I think I would sit down and create all these lineups individually, because I think all these experts, all these pros, all these sharps, they're all using lineup optimizers. And even a lot of the novice players and intermediate players are using lineup optimizers. And a lot of them, produce very similar results. These algorithms, these different things that people are programming into them, that they're baking into their models, it all produces very similar lineups. So I think the problem there is, you're just not going to have unique lineups. A lot of your lineups are kind of drawing dead. So if I want to make those type of lineups, I'm going to create them all on my own, because, I know that my mind's going to work a lot different than a computer in this situation, and that's kind of what I want. Because those lineups, that's just how I've been able to draw lineups where, 100 other lineups in front of me have the same thing, but I have something different. Now, it may not work out for me, but if my lineup hits, it's going to move past all 100 of those lineups and go to first. So that's sort of the thought process there. But that's kind of what I wanted to share with y'all, and just give y'all a little little idea of my thought process on tournaments and different things of that nature for NFL. Later, everybody.